just like to move on to your goals. Now, I've got them here.
Oh, don't do this to me.
Where are they? So, I don't want to grill you on your goals, but every year you share your goals on your blog.
Yeah.
This is 2010. That's the
just
first
one page. There you go.
There's the second page. And I think the third page got cut off.
Yeah.
So, you're very extensive in your goals. You're clearly very motivated. So this is a twofold question. Firstly, what motivates you? And how do you achieve all of this? Because we've got stuff on here: family, fitness, marathons, an Ironman, triathlons. Here's one specifically: swim yards, 230,000, 75 hours. You've got quality of life. You've even got golf in here. You've got special events in your own personal life. Books, 24-year tour. Yeah, so first, what motivates you? And how do you achieve all of this? You're a machine.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, this is a sick level. I would never recommend that anybody get to this level. This has become something beyond what I recommend to people. But how it got to the sick state that it's currently in is over time. I actually interviewed when I was a teenager. At 13 years old, I interviewed successful adults. And I asked them questions all summer long and took notes. What caused you to be successful? If you had to do it over again, what might you do different? Why did you choose what you do? If you were going to give advice to a 13-year-old kid that wanted to be successful in life, what would you tell them? And I walked away with some really, really big nuggets. Almost to a person, they said that you needed to put your goals in writing. That they should have some categorization. So as you mentioned, I have health and I have travel and I have fitness. And so some categorization. There are going to be subsets within the categorization. But my goal would be having good health, right? Yeah. And so there's some markers that make good health. All right. So too many goals and then nothing's going to get accomplished. So put them in writing. Have a plan on how they're going to get achieved. And then have a system of accountability and measurement. So activities, and have some people hold you accountable. So the first person that I share this with each year is my wife, and my wife and I have been married now for 40 years.
Congratulations.
Her credit, putting up with this guy. All right, so Bonnie and I sit down between November and December, and I have a draft of this, and I make sure that she's in. Because if she's not in,
it's not going to work.
Yeah, she's going to be in my way, right? But if I can get her sitting in the same direction on the bus, then she'll help, right? And then once that's completed, then I send this to 5 people that are near and dear to me, and I ask them 4 or 5 times a year to go off to lunch with me, bring it with them, and make sure that I'm doing every day what I'm supposed to be doing to get this done. Every day I have a log, and I log down everything that I did that related to these, and I then tabulate it by the month, and then I have a month-to-month tracking and see whether I'm making progress in the areas, and then I do a quarterly report to these 5 people, which I call the board of director of my life. Yep. And I do this quarterly report and variances and say, here's how we're going to get back on the bus. The amount of things that I accomplish in any year is overwhelming, even to me. But when you break it down and block and tackle, it is relatively easy. If you want to run a marathon, you can't get up one morning in Auckland and read the paper and say, there's a marathon tomorrow, I think I'll run that. I don't think we're doing 42K in just showing up. But if you were to train and practice for 3 months, and you were to run 5K on Monday, and 8K on Tuesday, and 5K on Wednesday, and take Thursday off, and maybe run 15K on Thursday, and you were to do this for a cycle of 12 weeks, you could show up and actually run a marathon. Yeah. And so when I put this down, then my board of directors that are holding me, accountable, my board of directors, my life, are saying, are you registered for that marathon? Let me see your book and see if you're training for it. And, you know, this year, when the year is over, I will have competed in 2 full Ironmans, 4 half Ironmans, 4 Olympic triathlons, 1 sprint triathlon, and 6 marathons in their own right.
Wow.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
yeah, let's not get too carried away. Let me just check the time. So, are you okay to carry on?
I'm good, yeah. This is fun.
So, next question, next category is Jack Says. So, I've got a few quotes here.
Okay.
And I'm just keen to understand a bit more about them. Mm-hmm. So, number 1 is, you say you never have a sales call without the next sales step. Why is that?
Never end a call without creating the next action step, right? Because if you don't create a next action step, what happens is the next time you call, you have to start all over from the beginning. But if you can create a next action step, here's the next action step. Who is going to do what and by when? You, the customer, are going to do some things, and by what dates, and me. And then after I leave, remember that email that I sent?
Yep.
In the email, it says who's going to do what and by when.
Yep.
And, you know, in a lot of ways, it's sort of like breaking the goals down on a bitsy piece of the sales call, right? If you don't do that, then it kind of dilutes and goes away. The person that you called on goes off and does whatever they're doing down the hall. You go off and do whatever you're doing down the hall, and then we try to start it back up again. Yeah. But if you create a next action step at the end of a call, what happens is it's called gaining momentum to the finish line, and we just push the process along.
Excellent. And this is what I find quite interesting. You discussed in your recent webinar that you'll find sales teams performing irrespective of market conditions. So, you know, businesses have had a tough time in the last 18 months. Why do the best sales teams perform just as well in a down economy?
I'm going to take it back from you a little bit, and so I'm going to say I wouldn't characterize as the best sales teams. I would say the best sales professionals. I don't find whole teams generally beating markets, but I find a group of top performers in almost every company out-achieving the competitors and their peers inside the company. In the United States, where I've done more work, I have the statistics, and the statistics say that the top quartile of sales performers nationwide in the U.S., all industries combined, are producing 60+%. So 25% of the salespeople are producing 60+% of the sales. The bottom quartile is producing less than 6. Right? Now, the why. Let's go there. So why is that occurring? Well, part of it is they have their shtick down, right? Remember, we were talking earlier about if they were asked what your price is too high 4 times, they'd have the same answer, whereas that bottom quartile guy is just throwing stuff up, right? Now, so that's systems and processes. So they've got themselves system and process. But here's half of the other part. The other half of the part is what goes on in our jar. And what I mean by that is 50% or more of success at selling is a head case. It's getting up in the morning and saying, God bless the competition because I'm going to beat their pants off, right? And what we find is that attitude exists with top producers. In fact, you could take a person in sales out of the top quartile, bring them to an entirely new company, I would even argue to a new industry, and within a year, that person will be generating business at a top quartile producer level because they don't know how else to live. I'm going to put myself in that group. I'm the kid that was selling potholders at 7.
I think it's assumed that you're in that group, Jack.
I'm the guy that built that newspaper route up, and I'm the same guy all the way through an adult. Okay, if I go into a business, there's no doubt. The first thing I want to know if there's a sales force of 20 people. I want to know the names and the production numbers of the top 3. Because the rest of them don't matter to me. I want to know what it's going to take to crack the top 3.
Yeah.
And whatever the contests are and the prizes and the awards, I want those too.
Yeah.
My office is filled with all that stuff.
Great.
Absolutely, got to have it. You know, I took on the triathlon sport 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to swim.
Wow.
5 years later, and I've done 5 Ironmans on 4 continents in 5 different countries. And my swim time now is 15 minutes behind the pros coming out of the water. And this has all happened in the last 5 years. Now, how do you get there? Well, you get there by hiring a coach, getting training, and practicing. And guess what? That's what those top guys do.
Excellent. So, you've actually already covered off a few more of my questions. Now, this is a quote that I repeat over and over, and not enough business people, I think, get it. And this is a Drucker quote, and it says, "What gets managed, measured gets managed." What does this mean in sales?
So I'm going to just tweak the phrasing.
Yep.
Things that get measured get done. Eh? Things that get measured get done. If I want to have $1 million in sales this year, I'm going to break the million into months. I'm going to break the months into weeks. Now I'm down to $30,000 for the week. Now, in order to generate $30,000 for the week, I have to think about, well, what my average sale is of whatever product or service I'm doing, and how many outbound calls I might have to make each day of that week in order to generate that kind of business. How many presentations would I need to have? How many face-to-face appointments would I need to make? How many network events would I have to attend? And I can actually identify and target what those specific activities are. And I could tick off as the day went each time I did one of those activities and sum it up for the day and the week. I know that if I do the activities, then the sales should take place.
Yeah.
Things that get measured get done. Now, whenever I go through that in front of a sales audience, there's a disproportionate percentage of the people in the audience that are, I just said something really bad, because now we're in their stuff, you know, and in their stuff is things that get measured get done. Yeah. That's it, you know. Look, this is not hard stuff. I have 2 adult children. Melissa is 38, Adam is 31, but I'm a grandpa now. Wow. So I have little Malcolm, and he's 20 months old. If you want your kids to grow up right, do the things they need to do. You need to have expectations. You need to have certain activities that they do. You need to measure whether they're doing those. And if we do that, they should come out okay. And if we don't, well, quite frankly, I think that business is a bunch of kids that need direction. Yeah. And I don't mean that offensively. I mean that positively. No different than I mean it positively with our children.